Shout out to all the returning subscribers. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Shout out to all the returning subscribers. If you're new here, you might as well hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications. You know what I mean? More content is on the way. Yes, this is part 3. You see what time it is. If you missed part 1, it is what it is. But you can always go back and watch that. But part 3 is, yeah, if you missed part 1 and part 2, is what it is. All right. That's why you should stay subscribed, or make sure you subscribe so you're notified so you can watch live. You know what I mean? If you're watching the playback, that's cool. That's cool. But watching live is always better. Yeah, let's admit it. But anyway, listen, what I need you to do, another thing I need you to do, hit in the pinned comments, there's a book. That's what the name of the documentary we're reacting to is based on that book, yeah? So go purchase yours in the pinned comments, and you know what I mean? Yeah, I get paid a small commission, but it is what it is. Gotta get paid. Bills gotta get paid, you know what I'm saying? But let's get straight back into it. All right. In case you didn't know, by the way, my name is Versatile, aka I could be on trust, the name you can trust when it comes to all things reactions. So let's get back straight into it. Yeah. Hold on. So basically, where we left off. By the way, if you can't see the visuals, it's because I have to do this because of copyright. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, so where we left off is where basically the whole setup, I say setup, how ironic. So basically the whole situation is Biggie, no wait, Keefy D is admitting that he went to the party with in LA, the Vibe magazine party, where Biggie was there, Puffy was there. There was a, you know what I mean? He walked up to Puffy, he walked up to Biggie and says, "What's up?" Gene Dill was the bodyguard there as well. He even alludes to that as well, because he said that, oh yeah, he's cool, Keith. Do you know what I mean? Or something of that nature, right? The whole point of this conversation, yeah, is because you need to look at the backstory to everything, yeah. In the Sean Combs the Reckoning documentary, episode 2, Greg Kading, the author of this book, and you know, he more or less says that it's because of he basically, the way it's positioned as if he's admitting that Keefy D is admitting his involvement and Diddy's involvement in the Tupac situation. That's what it looked like. What never happened, from my recollection, is mentioning this part. This is why we had to react to this, because I knew he mentioned Biggie first. He literally made, like, he's not. It's like he was investigating Biggie's situation, but then you know how it go. But let's keep it moving. Let's hear this properly. If I can give you a proper breakdown. All right. Yeah. Now there's a voice recording of police interview with Gene Dill. So basically, hold on. Let's get word by word what Eugene Dill says. Okay, so now this is the police interview. Quick question, yeah. Before we get into exactly word by word of what Gene Dill was saying in this interview, is that legal for them recording? Obviously, yes, legal to record an audio of the interview, or the police interview, because obviously investigation, all that stuff there, yeah, cool, understandable. But you see, when it comes down to the situation regarding releasing an audio tape for a documentary, is that legal? Just a question. those who are familiar with law, please let me know in the comments below, especially in America, because this is, to me, especially with a case to do with Biggie, and to do not just that, but the situation surrounding Biggie, if that makes sense. When it comes to these type of investigations, especially when they're unresolved, I don't think you should be releasing these tapes. Do you understand? That yeah, the public are going to feel curious to want to know everything, but for the sake of the family, Biggie's family in this case, they deserve to have privacy. If I'm honest, let their investigation be done. Let it be thorough. You know what I mean? And let them get justice. And then if they want to make it public, then the family are within their rights to make it public. That's just my personal opinion, by the way. But anyway, let's keep it moving. All right. So Eugene Dill said, so we're sitting around about to leave the party. The guys from Compton are still in there. They come over. Not speak to them, just like, yo, what's up? What's happening? All right. So the person who's the police officer that's probably interviewing him definitely doesn't sound like it's Craig Kading, from my understanding. Doesn't sound like Craig Kading, which is very interesting. Like, anyway, yo, want some? No, no, like that. Okay. All right, man. Cool. Okay, so Craig Kading is basically confirming things, right? He literally confirming. Yeah, Craig Kading, sorry, no, Keefe D literally confirmed what Eugene Dill said in regards to the interaction. All right, all right. So I don't want to keep pointing every so often, but there's key moments here, right? Very key moments. He literally, Craig Kading said, he also said to Puff, I can give you some extra security. And then this is what's so mad. Diddy said to him, no, you can't, because the feds are all over us. So if the feds are all over watching, question, just a question, one question I have right now is, the feds are watching. So you telling me they do not know who, like, pulled the trigger on Biggie? Made that look. Think about it. If they're watching Diddy, for example, this is a prime example. Diddy went out ahead of him. Yeah. If you watch part 2 of my reaction, you would realize he went at Diddy, Puffy, whatever he wants to call himself. He went out ahead in a separate car. So are you telling me the defense just keep their eye on Puffy or Diddy or whatever the case is, or were they also watching Biggie? Because in another documentary, Biggie's mom says, not verbatim, but more or less alludes to the Fed, the FBI, Fed, whatever you want to call them, were watching Biggie. So you make of that as you will. I don't understand it, because the feds, they're the ones who can put a case forward. They're the ones that can gather all the evidence. They have things in detail, and they can put it forth for the courts for a trial, like Keefe D. You know what I mean? Anyway, because I don't think Keefe D's thing as a state arrest or whatever the case is. I think it's a federal. I'm gonna look into it. If it's a fed thing, yeah, he's pretty much done. He's pretty much done, because you're mentioning Diddy's name like 77 times. I think someone else said it was 200 times, but I believe it's 77 times. Um, but yeah, let's keep moving. Yeah, see, no, see, word for word. Keefe D said, he said, the FBI is all over us. I don't want you guys catching my heat. What heat? What heat does Diddy have? What is he talking about? What heat? What heat? Because 6 months before, I'm pretty sure it was to do with Tupac. Could be wrong. But then, I don't know. This is mad. This is mad. This is mad. I'm just clocking how real mad this is. Stay away from me. Who said this? We've been asked. Sean. Com said FBI is all over me. Yes. Okay. All right. So now these are not Keefe D's words, but I do this every 5 minutes so you could understand. But all right, what I'll do to make things a lot more easier is I'm gonna say certain things. Or this is what I do. I watch it. I say it, but yeah, the FBI. No, Keefe D says he warned Sean or Diddy or Buffy that Death Row Records in associates are watching. But how do you know that? How do you know that? Funny thing is, Reggie Wright Jr. was there, and he's the head of Death Row Security. So it's mad. Let's keep moving on. So moments later, okay, okay. See, this is where I know today 5 minutes. Yeah, well, technically it's 55 minutes into the documentary. Greg Kading said something mad, not mad, but he said something very poignant, which was he literally said, he literally said that in this point of the conversation, like literally after the mentioning Death Row Records associates are in the area or whatever in the party, whatever the case is, he literally turned, yeah, then moments later, um, moments later, Biggie is hit. You know what I mean? Just moments later. Now, here's the thing: we don't hear Keefe D mentioning this. You only hear Craig Kading saying this. So that's very key, just to let you guys know this, because now it looks like it's a narrative being pushed, but I don't know. But he did say after this, Keefe D at this point in the conversation says that wasn't us. So if you say it's not us, what is it? You know what I mean? They said it begs the question, then what was? That's what Craig Kading. But remember, remember this. Didn't Craig Kading put arrest his friend or a task force or arrest one of his friends, family, whatever the case may be, or one of his someone he's associated with, and set him up? He set up Keefe D to the point where when I say set up, he literally it was an entrapment, and he used that entrapment to be able to use that as leverage because because Greg Kading and his task force felt Keefe D knows something or is associated with the situation that happened to Biggie, or I think at this case it was either Biggie or Tupac, or I think just Biggie at this point, because you've got to remember it's the LAPD, yeah, Los Angeles Police Department. Um, Tupac situation is involved with the Las Vegas Police Department. There's two different things, and I need people to understand this very clearly. There's two different things, yeah. LAPD and LVPD, two different states, two different jurisdictions. Simple as that, yeah. Now you could argue and say, yeah, but the two interlink. because of people that's involved. Cool, understandable. But in this part is where it's very key that if you need to focus on the narrative that's being pushed, instead of the narrative being pushed, let's focus on what's the facts. What are the facts? Tell me the facts. But yeah, let's keep it moving though. So, but oh, sorry, I meant to mention something. He mentioned so he used that entrapment tactic to be able to say, "We got this over you." Do you understand? He's basically using the he's using that to say, "We know you have that. We know you're involved with that. We well, not know, but they're like, if you can't help us with this, or help us no, if you don't help us with this case, you're gonna get a certain amount of years. Your friends and family, they're gonna get a certain amount of years. So if you help us with this, then we can cut a deal. Do you understand? So they literally are. Do you see, Craig Kading? I'm not. Listen, I got. I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but it's clear that there's a narrative here. Remember, I said about that lawsuit that Biggie's mom had against the LAPD and the Los Angeles, LA Council or whatever. Had she won that lawsuit, she would have Biggie's estate would have had gained $400 million, but it got dismissed, right? Because of the league, because of the investigations that are happening. They're like, man. And then he said, "What I do have to." So when Craig, all right, let me just keep watching. And then we get onto it. But let's put it this way: Tupac situation. See, even Greg Kading says that if you sold one, you sold the other. Okay, now Keith D's doing the the police interview 2008. All right, so we're gonna try and get this word by word, yeah, because obviously these are key information. But what was very vital just now was Craig Kading. I believe it's Craig Kading that's interviewing him. But anyway, he literally is saying, if you tell us the truth, no, if you don't tell us the truth, and we find out you're not being truthful, then everything will be off the table. And you know what he means by off the table? He's literally talking about the deal they had in place. What deal was that? That deal is for that entrapment that they have. Think about the entrapment that they got to arrest Keefe D originally. You know what I mean? It means that that deal was off the table in terms of, you know what I mean? So obviously it was clear that Craig Kading was literally going after the case regarding Biggie. It was it was Biggie, no, sorry, it was Keefe D who said that wasn't us. And then Craig Kading goes, if that wasn't you guys, then what was? Like it's a psychological thing, really, when you think about it. Anyway, yeah, it's like, don't BS me and I won't BS y'all. Damn. These people are ruthless. This ultimately comes down to how you what? No, 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 no. We can't. What did he just say? What this ultimate, I believe it's Greg Kading saying this. He says what this ultimately comes down to is how valuable your life is and how valuable your family life is. What did I say about the entrapment? I literally said that entrapment is because of the deal they went into. You know what I mean? They go in. I think it's like the I forgot the term. I think the term's called bait and switch, where they ultimately are going for one thing. They have their target in mind, yeah, but instead of going for that target directly, they go for another target that leads them right back to their original target. That's what that is. Because it was originally about Biggie, but now it's like, well, we are doing an investigation anyway. You know what I'm saying? And they know that it's like I believe they know the two things are interconnected. They know. They know. They know. Even Keith D said, "Well, I feel this. I'll still go to jail then." And then Craig Kading says this: "What you say here cannot go against you. What you say here cannot go against you." Now, why would you do that? This is why Keith D could felt like he can go on to Art of the Dialogue platform and another platform and the other platforms and start saying, you know what I mean, and start uh and make a book, you know what I mean, and then allude to the whole situation because he felt like it can't be used against him. He felt like he's invincible. Think about it. If someone says to you, what you say will not be used against you, here, you know what I mean? And you're talking about, you know what I mean, something serious. But with the police, you should always know what you do say will be later used against you. Or what's that saying? What you say again will be used against you. You don't have to something about I can't remember I can't remember the full thing. But more or less in every in well, I know in America.
Whatever you say now will be used against you in the court of law.
Okay, yeah. So whatever you say, whatever you say will be used against you in the court of law. And so, guess what's happening? Keefe D is going to court very, very soon. Do you know what I mean? Like he's already in jail. He's awaiting his trial. It's been delayed a few times, but he's awaiting his trial. And if they can't use this tape, then what can they use? Okay, they're gonna have to find evidence. What evidence do they have? I genuinely believe there's enough evidence out there for the Tupac situation and Biggie situation. You can't tell me you cannot tell me the FBI is watching. Like it's confirmed. According to Keith D, the FBI was watching Sean Combs or Diddy or whatever. Sean Combs said that. So if he's saying that, that should be enough evidence to say they are there watching. Let's keep it moving. Let's go. Oh, well, well, well. He told the FBI a decade earlier. Hey, what is going on? No, wait. There's something strange going on. There's something strange going on. The FBI interviewed Keefe D 10 years earlier, so that would have been in 1998. And you're telling me that this is mad. This is mad. Okay, he warned his nephew after getting stomped out by Tupac and others. Don't just say just Tupac, but by others that he warned him not to retaliate. He warned his own nephew not to retaliate. And you got to remember, they're gang members. Yeah. So why would he tell his nephew not to retaliate? Clearly, if you got a nephew, you got a niece, you got like your relative, and you know how they are. You know what I mean? You just tell them to keep a cool head. Like that's just. Do you know what I mean? But we need to hear what Keefe D says first, because that's what apparently he told the FBI. Apparently, okay, believe he said. Okay, okay. We'll get into this. There's a lot of they're trying to say Suge Knight was the one in regards to Tupac. Oh no. So I had to pause real quick. Reggie Wright Jr. is there now. Anytime we could have had him fired anywhere with his evil laugh. Nah, this guy is evil, bruh. You can just anyway. I'll reserve what else I've got to say about this guy later. Yeah, but give me a second. What Reggie Wright Jr. is saying here is very telling. Oh my days! I don't want to pause too often and say what I need to say, but let's keep it moving. Mm. Okay, this is mad. I'm gonna pause here just for a second, right? Just to round this up because this is a lot. This is a lot of information. So he now, all right. So with Reggie Wright Jr., let's just conclude that one for now. So basically, he's saying that the situation that happened or that went down was, yeah, the situation that happened with Tupac. No, yeah, they try. All right. So basically, he's saying what you do with people, how to control Tupac. Keyword control. How to control Tupac. You do what the government do. They institutionalize you and then they break you. And then he says, you know, he was on probation, so talking about 3 years, blah blah. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? He's like David Kenner, blah. He put in David Kenner's name there. Why? Anyway, there's a reason why, and I'll tell you in another. I'll tell you in a bit. So the cut a long story short, there's that, but then there is Keith D originally in the FBI told the FBI it was Suge Knight, but then in Russell Paul's book it also alludes to it's Suge Knight, which doesn't make sense because Suge Knight was also in the car. Also, uh, so yeah, that Russell Paul theory was out the window. You know, um, I won't. I don't want to say, but yeah, that's his investigation. I don't know how he got to that, but it's what it is. Because they try to say Tupac was trying to leave the label, but we'll get to that another time. Because technically, he was never really on Death Row Records. He was still part of Interscope. Um, so also that's another thing. Um, also there's an it's much like Bow Wow, ironically, he was on Death Row, but that's the different story. But like he basically said he found out that he would never ever sign to So Def, but every record you hear, he would illuminate. Sorry, he would, yeah, illuminate is the right word. He would brighten up the name So Def. Like seriously, it's mad. When you think about timeline, yeah, you're like, wait, they would never sign to that label. It's mad. So yeah, man, it's deep. It's deep, but yeah, let's keep moving. Okay, now they're going to how they met Puffy. Where does he introduced Zip? We had the baseball game. Okay, we're gonna read this. Yeah, give me a second. I need to see something real quick. All right, so with Dwayne Davis at Attorney's Office, Davis reviewed reports containing prior interviews uh, had completed. Davis pointed out several discrepancies in prior reports, admitting he had not been entirely truthful about specific facts, including the circumstances surrounding the of Shakur. Now, you have to ask this question, yeah? Why was he lying to why would you lie to the feds? I mean, clearly you can have your reasons for lying, but clearly they will. Do you know what I mean? They will. This is what I'm trying to say. The feds know without, even if you're lying, they know. Do you know what I mean? They know. You cannot tell me they don't know. All right, so Davis was advised that the purpose of the interview was to correct Davis' previous false statements as they related to the of Shakur and provide investigators with factual details. All right. So this was on the 16th of March 2009. Yeah. The agent in question is Greg Kading. All right. So Davis provided the following explanation in the early 1990s. Davis associated with the blanked name. Then there was another name that's blanked out. Is known to investigators as the blanked out the name. And then again, blanked out the name. And it says, and Davis occasionally played against each other during neighborhood baseball teams, was affiliated with the Santana. You know what? What? Anyway, let's keep moving. All right. So it says Block Crips and Davis remember the Southside Crips. The gang and teams would compete for the back bottles of champagne. It was during these games that introduced Davis to Zip. Zip is known to investigators as Eric Martin. Martin would occasionally play for the blanks at the team, a name, and it says team. So as soon as I see the name Martin, hey, listen, you used to watch Martin. Hey, anyway, let's keep moving. Davis recalled beginning his drug activities around um give me a second. I need to do something real quick. All right, so Davis So Davis recalled beginning his drug activities around this time. Davis, who was involved in narcotic sales, traveled to New York with blank again. Why are they rubbing out the names? What does Greg Kading have to hide? Anyway, beginning to where was that? New York with to visit Martin. The purpose of the trip was to conduct a multi-kilogram cocaine deal with Martin. Davis was the cocaine, providing the cocaine, stayed at Martin's house in Jersey City. Blank's out name acted as a broker between Davis and Martin. After Blank was arrested in Blank, Martin arrested. Davis conducted a PCP transaction with Martin and began to socialize with Martin when Martin would come to Los Angeles. So clearly, in this case, it's just business. Like, yeah. Oh, so they're just explaining when they met first, where he first met Diddy. Okay, they mentioned about the car references with that Usher is using. Okay, the detail. Okay, okay. So there's confirmation of people knowing each other. Terrence Brown confirms everything. Corey Edwards also confirms the connections. All right, this is key information. We got to read this. Yeah. All right, we're gonna read it from top to bottom. It says books. Trayvon Lane, Trey Heron, who's now pied, was possibly pied by George Williams. G. Heron was pied at the intersection of Roscoe. I can't even say it properly, but uh, and Santa Fe in Compton. George Williams is an employee of Death Row Records and was fired for screwing something up. Heron and Williams were involved in an ongoing dispute, which eventually escalated into. Smith said that the Mob Piru Bloods and the Luders Park Bloods were once one neighborhood and was an ex-member of Mob Piru. Uh, Luders Park was the original gang, and Mob Piru split from them after some disagreements. Suge Knight grew up in the neighborhood. key information is where is that? So Smith said he heard that Bad Boy Entertainment had used Southside Crips as security. Smith does not know who hired Biggie Smalls, but he believes that Southside Crips was responsible because they were owed money. So bear this in mind. You got someone from affiliated with Death Row Records, and he believes that he doesn't know what he knows from like he don't know who pied he don't know who pulled the trigger on Biggie, but he literally saying he heard that Boy Entertainment had used Southside Crips as security. Smith does not know who pied Biggie Smalls, but he believed that the Southside Crips are responsible because they were owed money. How do you know this information? How do you? The first question that they should be asking the investigator is, how do you know this information? But very that's an information where you're like, hang on, why? Because then it's like, what do they owe them money for? How do you know this information? And obviously, if you are you're from, if you're the op, you obviously are you trying to, you know what I mean? Are you talking rubbish about your op to get them arrested and investigated for something, or like what are you doing? Because just bearing in mind, we don't know if it's linked to anything else. We don't know when you look at it from just a straight eyes. Yeah. But anyway, keep it moving. Southside originally was a small gang and not a major enemy of Mob Pyre until approximately 3 years ago. Excuse me. The animosity between the two gang grew when Southside women started dating Mob Pyre gangsters working for Death Row Records. Smith feels that Bad Boy Entertainment people are intimidated by Death Row Records people because they are very large in stature. Smith heard from the street Mob Pyre gangsters, but Biggie Small put a contract out to wait what? But Mob Pyre gangsters, but Biggie Smalls put a contract out to pay Tupac through Southside Crips. Now this is where you have to ask a question: where did you hear this information from? Because now when you say contract, yeah, you got verbal agreements or verbal contracts, but then you also have something else, which is actually written contract. Verbal agreement or contract is hearsay. It's always he said, she said. But a written contract is this is the written contract. You know what I mean? It's in. You know what I mean? Take it as you will. Now, where was we? Smith wrote up bad one to ten. Okay, boom. So now it says Baby Lane's uncle Keefe D was the main contact between Bad Boy Entertainment and Southside Crips. Smith also heard that Biggie Smalls used to kick it with Keefe D in the Southside hood. Smith was asked if he had ever heard of an individual named Zip, and he replied no. Smith denied knowing anyone from Biggie Smalls' entourage. Smith said that Reggie Wright, an ex Compton police officer, Right Way Security, was the security person for Death Row Records, and his father. So just to bear in mind, Reggie Wright Jr. is that the ex Compton police officer and owns Right Way Security at that time. And his father is currently a lieutenant for the Compton Police Department and can get him any information he needs. Smith advised us that a lot of Muslims work security in the entertainment industry, but he did not know of them having any connection to Vibe Party. He was never seen or heard of Death Row Records using any, I guess it's going to say any police or whatever the case may be. But anyway, let's go. Okay, so Hen Dog is basically doing a police interview, and he is saying what, thinking probably this is what happened. You know what I mean? You can't interview someone who says probably. It's either you know the information or you don't. I said Reggie Wright. See, sometimes I can't take what Reggie Wright Jr. says. Yeah, seriously. But anyway, let's keep moving. Okay, they're admitting that Little C's has seen Key before. We need to hear Little C's say that though. I need to hear him say it. You mentioned your name, or I now speak to him. How do you know you were big? Because you saw him at the last show we did out here. Like they were backstage. We did a show at the Anaheim Coliseum. Little C's did say it. How did you guys look? Well, I saw one of them. One of the two. Well, let's get that picture back out there. You saw one of the guys here. Yeah, yeah, huh? Okay, you saw that guy on number two, yeah. Number two is KVD, by the way, yeah. Same guy. Okay, same dude right there. I saw him that night. I know that face. I saw him twice. It's VAT. So now took looking to KVD. Went to in Anaheim, Irvine, came in Vegas. I went over at the Summer Jam. Eugene confirms this too in the police interview. Not that I know of. They were a California show. I don't know if it was Irvine or San Diego. I know I met the first time. Okay. We, and then we had to go to Vegas, and it was like we had to be anywhere from 35 to 50 some clicks to roll with us. And these are all guys from Compton. Yeah, same group of people. Yeah, and just all in, to have fun, concert, and things like that. That's mad. And then now they're asking Keith the $1 million question. This is by the way, hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notification. It's going to be seen worth it to read the book. Yeah, the link is going to be in the pinned comment, so make sure you purchase your copy. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because clearly there has to be more to this. Obviously, yeah, hearing tapes is one thing, but I feel like reading a book would be a lot more insightful. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep moving. Let's go. Every one of them. He put a, which one of those boys you talked about? Every Brad Tupac. It really was about both. Either one of them. And Tupac and Sugar me. Yeah, I know. Nah, time out, time out, time out, time out, time out, time out. Greg Kading put words into Keefe D's mouth. And do you know why I know this, sir? I'm not saying that he's guilty or innocent. Don't ever get that twisted. What I'm saying is, this is why we need to hear it in full, right? Like unedited, raw. Because you can't just tell someone this is what happened. Like, so, oh, so this happened. And then you're telling, it's like, remember, they're investigating an alleged crime that took place. Well, not even alleged because it's not even alleged at this point. Do you know what I mean? A crime that took place, they're a suspect. So you have to make it, you have to make them confess if they are really that person that did that. Yeah. So you have to make them confess. You don't make them confess by putting words into their mouth. You don't. Because, yeah, you can say, yeah, but that person with this person, so clearly there must be some sort of connection. Blase, blase, blase. We kind of would add up. But when you minus all of that and you cut out all the fluff and you start to realize two things can be true. Yes, they could be involved. Yeah. And they are affiliated with the other person that instigated. Or maybe they're just affiliated with the person that instigated, but they never were the ones that. Do you understand what I'm trying to make? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But anyway, let's keep it moving. I want to say one more thing before we keep moving. So, you can't just tell someone, oh, so this happened, right? What do you mean this happened? How do you know? Like, if I'm not saying Keith D is slow or dumb, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is if he was more clued up, do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he can respond by saying, "What do you mean by that?" You know what I mean? And also, so what is his lawyer present? Apparently, because I need to figure that out. Is his lawyer present? Where's his lawyer? That's another question. Where's his lawyer? That's another thing because his lawyer should be there and be like saying, "You don't have to say this. You don't have to say this. You can't say that. You don't have to say this. You don't." His lawyer should be present to be able to say that. I'm sorry. Like I'm not trying to hold back on certain things there because that's not the way it should be done. But I'm just thinking in a normal, proper investigation, that's what usually happens. Because can you call this a proper agreement? I doubt it. But let's keep moving. Let's go. Around you, Puffy, Zip, a bunch of Southsiders. Yeah, that was people to go too. You know, what did he actually hear? What were the words? The best you can remember what he says. He said, if they gave us anything for them dudes, you know. Yeah, he said, in front of all those people, I couldn't believe it. And I know, yeah, no for the grips. Okay, this part they put in the Sean Combs the record documentary. So if you've seen it, you've seen it. Basically, saying like Diddy was scared. Oh no, 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 no! Greg Kading literally laughing about that claim that Keith Dean made, and he literally this was so mad. I feel like I he laughed because he's like he had to go up the chain of command, so there can't be BS or whatever the case may be, and even it is, it could be pushed out or whatever and no longer looked into. So they need that everything needs to be corroborated, basically, right? Then he said otherwise it'll be lawsuits, 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 lawsuits. No one wants to deal with, you know what I mean? Because of the mention of Diddy's name. This is interesting. To me, that's what I took out of that. That's what I took. Because you're telling me, because the thing about it, if the FBI is watching Diddy, then why does it matter if a lawsuit happens? Because naturally, the FBI are after Diddy or watching Diddy. So you should also be watching Diddy. What are you really afraid of? Oh, are you afraid of losing money? Is there more money to be made? Or what's going on? Now, bear in mind how much years this has been. Do you understand? You're looking at what, 10 years after the Biggie situation, and you're looking at 12 years. Well, because we're looking at the date of when the recording of the the police interview was done with Keith D. And so it's just mad to me when you deep it. Someone knows something and they're hiding something. Because that, like, again, it doesn't make sense. Why are you laughing about a lawsuit that could happen? Knowing that there's a lawsuit that's happening with, at the time, Miss Wallace was basically suing, the LAPD and LA City Council for $400 million because that's what the estate, that was basically Biggie's potential lifetime earnings. And so, do you know what I mean? But you got, it's mad. Someone knows something, man. He told me that the greenback, like, okay, so this information was stopped put in the Sean Combs directory documentary, by the way. So I won't have to go over it, but if you know what it is, you know what it is. Actually, no, let's go bit by bit. Hang on. We told them the Green Blade's dirty, by the way. Dirty on mine. We wanted a million. Yeah, he said, come on downstairs and talk to me. He told you seriously, man, I need to get rid of this. See, no, no, no. He keeps on putting words into Keefe D's mouth. Can he stop this? I like, I don't like this. Even if Keefe D is 100% involved, I still don't like the way he's putting words into Keefe D's mouth. That's not how you investigate a criminal investigation. I'm sorry. I know that's not my job, and it never has been, never will be. But because I like my job. God knows I like my job. So yeah. But anyway, I'm just reacting. But like when you deep it, yeah, it does sound like he's putting words into his mouth. But anyway, and he's looking at you in the eyes. Yeah, he's like scared. Yeah, yeah. Then when Will Rogers asked out quick, it's a nothing. We brought up the amount of $1 million. That's what been asked. Yeah, he did. Coffee did. Yeah, wasn't you? No, it wasn't me. Sure, shit. $1 million, I'll take it for 50. You know what I'm saying? So he brought up the $1 million. Yeah, the product dudes will hire you for 1,500. Damn. Wow. By the way, this is what's so mad, yeah. This is sad, yeah, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, you see, when it comes to this investigation, he literally is saying, but other places you can get other witnesses to corroborate. But when Puffy took Keefer D aside, that you can't corroborate that story. So, but it's still a serious story to tell. It's still serious. But then it goes okay. In that diner, for example, that place. Now there has to be a question: is there CCTV footage? That's the question you have to ask. Because if there's CCTV footage, then that's all the evidence that you need. Obviously, with some CCTV footage, you can't hear the audio, so it's hard to really say, you know what I mean? But if it aligns with the fact that he pulled him aside and they went downstairs, you do the maths. And even though there's no CCTV footage of him going downstairs, but no, of downstairs, but the CCTV of him walking downstairs, same with Puffy, it's just those two, and then you've got CCTV footage of them coming back up, then that says a lot. Like, I'm just thinking on the logical point, next steps. Yeah. So, in the investigative interview, that's what you need to be looking at. Okay, how can we? Yeah, how do you corroborate the story? But then, how do you know what I mean? How can you verify if this is true? But let's keep it moving. Okay, here we go. Chuck Phillips apparently, and he's the one that did the interview with Tupac years ago as well. We'll react to that another day. But anyway, so Chuck Phillips says, "This is who hired Tupac Shakur." Yeah, first of two parts by Chuck Phillips. Says Tupac. Okay, so Las Vegas City, the crowd intersection of blocks. Shakur was flirted with a car full of women, unaware that a white Cadillac had quietly. Let's see what it says. The shooting was carried out by a Compton gang called the Southside Crips that avenged the beating of one of the members, Shakur, a few hours earlier. This is why so many believe this incident. This is why so many believe it's because of that situation against Orlando Anderson, where it's that retaliation. Bear in mind, obviously, you have to understand, where did that motive come from? Where did Trayvon What did Trayvon Lane whisper in Tupac's ear? Did he say that a chain was taken, and his chain was taken or robbed or whatever by Orlando Anderson, and said, "Look, they're the guy that stole the chain"? And then, is it that? Like, what did he whisper in his ear? Because why did he take off like that? Why is he fighting like that? Do you see what I'm trying to say? And you got to bear in mind, Tupac ain't the only one that was fighting there. Suge Knight was in a situation that, well, his involvement basically landed him back in jail. And had Tupac lived, he would have went straight back to jail as well, because he would have violated probation. I don't think people really understand the scope of everything. Do you understand? But let's keep it moving. Orlando Anderson, the Crip who Shakur had attacked, fired the fatal shots at Las Vegas police, discounted Anderson as a suspect and interviewed him only once briefly. He was later fired in an unrelated gang shooting. The M weapon was supplied by New York rapper um, Notorious B.I.G. He agreed to pay the Crips $1 million for buying Shakur. Now, this sounds very much like Heron, or the Hen Dog. I don't know the names. But anyway, Smith. The name's Smith. But anyway, him alleging that that Biggie put out $1 million hit on Tupac. But not only that, prior to that, the Southside Crips. Um, it's just yeah, this is mind-boggling. What the hell is going on? Anyway, Notorious B.I.G. and Shakur had been feuding for more than a year, exchanging insults on record and at award shows and concerts. B.I.G. was fired down 6 months later. Los Angeles, that was pieing also remained unresolved. Also, it wasn't a concert; it was actually just a pie. You know what I mean? That was a pie. Before they had pied, Notorious B.I.G. and Anderson denied any role in Shakur's pie. This account of what they and others had what others did that night is based on police affidavits and court documents, as well as interviews with investigators, witnesses to come to the to the gang and to the sighting and members of the I think I could say Southside Crips at the time. Wait, what? So that announcement of the it was 10 years before Keith D. Hold on, hold on. We got to clarify something. We got to clarify something. Okay, so Greg Kading is saying that article basically was 10 years before Keith D brought it up. But Biggie and Puffy are two different individuals, by the way. Just saying. Okay, detailing how Keith D basically, he's how they got to Las Vegas. Wait. They're trying to say that they were driving a white Cadillac. They didn't come until that next day. Yeah. Well, that went Cadillac? Yeah. Who went to Cadillac? T Brown. Yeah, T Brown. His mum, right? Mother-in-law. Mm. And not okay. We went to eat. We were eating. Keith saying this. It's Big Bang. And the MGM at the hot restaurant. There was a few New Yorkers though. Was it? They were like, "Yo, need some help? We got this." That's what I said. Yeah, we've gone out to fight since fat days. The '80s. So they were going there just not knowing if Parker shook. We ain't got no pistols. We didn't have no. Yeah, shit. We were right here. They said, "Put up baby." That was it talking. Yeah, because of what happened to his lane. Yeah. He told me the robber that he had some Jimmys. He had a Jimmy with the bins. He had a little secret compartment. Then popped out, popped up. Yeah, in the armrest. Yeah. All right. Now, apparently, this is a witness. Yeah, you got to read the statement. So it says to Nevada. So blanked out to Nevada, Las Vegas for hold on for the purpose of viewing the Mike Tyson fight in September of 1996. The CW stated that he never actually went inside the boxing arena, but remained inside the lobby of MJ Hotel with the Brampton name during the fight. The CW advised that he observed Tupac, Suge Knight, and a bodyguard enter the arena. 15 or 20 minutes later, he observed Tupac and Suge exit in the arena. The CW then observed Orlando uh, Phonetic, a black male, and LNU, an unknown black male, freckles, red hair, exit the arena. Orlando LNU was bleeding um, from the head area. The CW over FNU and LNU say F that ish. What Tupac think this is? We gang bang out here. Let's continue because this just sound like a prayer to me. Even with Keith D's statement, yeah. So you lied to the feds, and you like now you're telling the truth to Greg Kading, apparently. What is the real truth? Now, one could argue that, oh, okay, is he telling the truth about the Diddy putting out an $1 million hit on Park and Suge? Well, now you got a question of uh, Diddy having a song on whose song is it part of? But basically, he literally refers to putting $1 million hit, and yeah, so that's after the situation. That's after the fact. Anyway, so let's continue. Later, the CW overheard Eric Von Zip. Eric Martin advised that we have artillery out here. Approximately 20 minutes later, the CW had that Tupac was pied. The CW believed that Orlando is the nephew of Eric Von Zip. So you're a witness. You were in the lobby. You know who Eric Von Zip is. Why? You know who Orlando Anderson is. Why? How do you know these individuals? Fair statement to make, right? You didn't go in. You didn't watch the fight. Why couldn't you watch the fight? Could you not afford the fight? But you in. Oh, okay. You at the MGM because you just care about more about casino betting rather than that actual fight. You know what I mean? Watching one of the greatest boxers there ever is. In heavyweight division in that era, especially. Mike Tyson. You didn't want to watch that. Maybe you couldn't afford it. Cool, whatever. However, how do you know this information? Now, I'm not trying to debunk this statement. I'm just asking questions. I feel like there's holes in this. Here's why I feel there's holes in it. First of all, amongst the CCTV footage that's available, can you point out where you are? Can you point out where you are? Can an expert in CCTV footage zoom into you and see and put a genuine match to you now versus then? Is that really you? And how did you conveniently hear that we gamble out of here? Didn't you think there's going to be a lot of chatter around the area with a lot of people? How did you hear that we gangbang out here. Now, here's the thing: you have security detail that are there. One that's on the dispatch phone or whatever it's called, probably getting more security, whatever the case is. They're more closer to hear what happened or hear what Orlando Anderson or any other else that's with him said, and what Tupac and I want everyone else must have said when they're walking down there, or maybe didn't say anything. I don't know, but the security detail, they must have heard something. That's all I'm saying. I'm just looking at the. I'm just thinking about the CCTV footage that's out there. But let's keep it moving. So this is okay. We're gonna keep it moving here, but I got one more question to ask. You can leave it in the comment section below. How does this witness know this? Who these people are? That's all I'm asking. Who is this witness? Who is this witness? How do you like? Who is this witness? Anyway, let's keep moving. Now keep it again. He act like he want to come. Or not. You know, don't with the motherfuckers out there telling us that at 662 club. You say, man. Everybody. Yeah, everybody. You got to go zip after think we say to him. Man, we got to handle this. You're like, yeah, perfect timing. Yeah, I'm gonna get a van with the busters. Okay. Then kind of like a T-part and Dre. Yeah. Y'all go with the van. There's two cars to 662. Yeah. The van and the Cadillac. Excuse me. He didn't show up. Waited about 15, 20 minutes. Didn't show up. So they let us get some liquor. Corey. Yeah, the great bad dog. He stopped the liquor store. We got a van with the car. Down to the Cadillac. The busters, they're scared. So yeah, Corey Edwards is clearly mad or scared. So the Cadillac driven by Terrence Brown apparently. Keith D in the passenger seat. Leandro Smith on the right is Keith's nephew, Orlando Anderson. That's what Craig Kading's saying. He literally just says that. That's Craig Kading saying that. Perfect. Now, they literally confirm that the four people, excuse me, were there. So you got Corey, Keith, and Orlando. Yeah, they were there. That's three. But anyway, but the four people that were in the car. So initially, Terrence Brown, Keith D, Orlando Anderson, as we know, because that's very clear. And then there's also DeAndre. So if you put the two and two together, cool. You've got evidence that they're there, but do you have evidence they were in that car? Where is that car? And this is what I forgot to mention. I'm going to mention it now. All right. So if you think about it, let's look at the perspective of where is that. They said they rented the Terrence T Brown or Terrence. He basically rented the car, the Cadillac, but I think they rented it from his stepmom or something like that. His stepmom rented it. So now the question is, who's your stepmom? Bring it in for questioning. Do you see how no, I'm not saying it's easy, but do you see how asking the right questions will always would make sense? Because this is leading me to more questions, and it's just making me think. Okay, so it's not so much about who drove the white Cadillac during and who pulled. Yeah, who pulled the trigger is one good question to ask. Yeah, that's the main question that should be asked. But to be able to lead up to that, we need to know certain things like who rented it, where was it rented from, where was the white Cadillac rented from, and are you sure it's a white Cadillac and not a different car? Do you understand? We understand Cadillacs are very prominent, especially back in that era. But you have to, anyway, we're going to take a quick break for a few seconds or a few minutes. Make sure you hit the like button, turn on your post notifications. Leave a comment in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. But yeah, man. I'm back, but give me a few seconds, yeah. Just a few more seconds, people. Bear with me, people. I'm trying to set up something. Hang on. It's taken longer than I expected, but yeah, bear with me. All right, we're back, people. We're back. Let's keep it moving though. So yeah, man. Let's go. don't tell me that you got to Vegas. T-Bra said you go tell me, Terry. You went to Vegas and where you stayed. Didn't go to Vegas. Didn't go Las Vegas. Okay, so he eventually confirmed because he was arrested for a postcard, LA postcard, Las Vegas postcard. We came up Harmon, Las Vegas Boulevard, and we come to BMW. To look at their shook, they're shook. And he was like, oh, come on, come on. And this is the girl speaking. So he really went through this. The bros, Tupac. And we're like, there, though. And then you do then it wasn't supposed to make a U-turn, just wrong a U-turn. There was the middle lane. You just pulled up on the side, checked every car, see where there was. You took Booker gave some, otherwise they would have got away. I thought he was going to pull on my side. But there's nothing, I'm going to look out for him. And he hold up on his side. You fit in the blast. Had to. Yeah, but not. I would have blast. I gave it to Dre. Dre was like, no. And then would like pop the dude. Uh, Fernando shot across Dre, leaned over, and I rolled down the window and popped him. He shook, looked over, sees you. Yeah, he looked at me. The bug would never noticed since we were 7, 8 years old. Another statement, and someone that was part of the death row entourage that was present. Here we go. SA was planted a name, was telephonically contacted by a confidential witness who provided the following information. The confidential witness is present in Las Vegas, Nevada, when the shooting of Tupac Shakur happened. The CW spoke with Suge Knight sometime after the shooting. Knight told him he knew who the shooters were, but would not identify them. Knight indicated that the shooters were Compton Crips from the South Side. Knight said the bullets were meant for him and that there were 3 contracts out on him. That's what Knight says. That's what Suge Knight says. The date of this transcription was on the 23rd of September 1996. And this is from the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, it's worth also noting that you see how if you listen to, for example, the claim that Keith D makes of recent, right? He doesn't say Orlando Anderson did it, if memory serves correctly. Orlando Anderson was also arrested as well, but he admits to not doing it. But yet, there's claims that he basically was bragging about it. Now, when you put 2 and 2 together, you're supposed to get the right calculations. But with this is like mental gymnastics. You know what I mean? Because things are not adding up. Things are not adding up. So the question becomes, and also you've got to remember as well, even if you look at the the if you look at what happened in regards to the car, if you at how it was, it looked like a professional job. I know it sounds mad to say, but that's what it looked like. You ever watched not watched? There's people, yeah. There's some people that have been unfortunately assassinated in similar ways, right? And it wasn't erratic. It was very it was very yeah, it wasn't erratic. It was very it seemed very professional. Very, very professional. Very keep moving. But he was the CW. I'd been seeing a bullet and shook his head. I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead. So Tupac tried to jump in the back seat. I was looking at doing that docking. He couldn't even duck because he was too big. Okay, we're gonna read this out again. So this is something else now. And the animosity between Bad Boy Entertainment and Sean Puffy, Collins, Biggie, and Death Row Records, Suge Knight started in Atlanta, Georgia, at a nightclub. Suge Knight's uh club with okay. Suge Knight's right hand man, friend, and bodyguard Jake Robles got into an argument over a girl in a nightclub with Sean Puffy Combs' first cousin, who's not yet been identified as a result of confrontation. Both parties involved were asked to leave the club when Jake and Suge were leaving the club. Someone shot and pied Jake, supposedly Sean Puffy Combs' first cousin, with the shooter. But then Gene Dill says it was a Jamaican later on. But let's go in regards to this. Suge and Puff exchanged words concerning the incident, and Suge put out a contract to pay Puffy and his first cousin. Eventually, Sean Puffy Combs put out a contract to hire Southside Crips from Compton to pay Suge Knight and Tupac. Blank was told whenever Sean Puffy Combs and Biggie were in Los Angeles area, they would hang out with Southside Crips and hire them for security. All right, now in September 1996, Southside Crips formulated the plan to pile Suge Knight at his nightclub in Las Vegas. Earlier that in the evening, at the MGM Grand Hotel, a Southside Crip was beaten by Suge Knight, Tupac, and other Death Row associates. The Southside gang member that was beaten and associate decided to do a hit on Suge Knight and Tupac right away, rather than wait for them to get to the nightclub. As a result, Tupac was fired and Suge was only wounded. Here's the thing. Is that the story that they want to tell? That was supposed to be for the nightclub, but yet at the same time, and the story they want to use an excuse for Orlando. Do you not like? You see, how do you explain? How do you explain this? Do you understand? This doesn't make. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense here, but I feel like you're just using this story for an alibi, this story for an alibi, and this story for an alibi. So when you got these different stories being told, they all kind of align because it means, oh, this must be the truth because there's there's I forgot what they call it. There's not collateral. There's motive. So you've got the motive based on Tupac. So Trayvon Lane obviously wanting so-called revenge, right? I'm trying to think. So you've got they want the revenge, right? Allegedly, they see him, boom, it's on site, right? Basically. So now it's like, and the thing is, you can't tell someone how to respond or react in any situation when in any situation, right? Really. Um. So then, after being told that, and so now you're telling me we're using that as an excuse, or because why doesn't and maybe he will say it, but does he say in his in the interview, "Oh, um, my my nephew he stole a death row chain, and in June, and I guess that's probably what they wanted revenge for." And you know what I'm saying? If it was that, if he said it like that, then alright, cool, whatever. But so far, I don't hear that because then my question is, why was that brought up earlier? There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. There's no excuse for it. Ben, we can move it. Let's go. All right. So here's another transcript. It says here the 662 Club. The vehicles involved in the caravan included Knight and Shakur as the lead vehicle driving back a black BMW, followed by a mob James and several mob Byron gang members driving in a minivan, Alton McDonald's, aka Buntree, and another mob pirate gang member driving a black Toyota Supra, and the rest of the DRR security, including the source and several others followers. While they're traveling in the left lane, approaching Tropicana Street, a white Cadillac occupied by two to four unidentified black males. Two to four. It's not that it's actually four. The question is two to four. So that could be two, that could be three. It could be any. Yeah? But it's not one. Um Black males approached the passenger side of Knight's vehicle BMW and fired multiple gunshots in the passenger side, then fled the scene. The source stated that during this time, source observed McDonald fire several rounds in the direction of Cadillac with a 9 millimeter pistol that McDonald kept in his vehicle. Source further advised that prior to the police arriving, Knight was telling everybody not to mention anything about anyone shooting back and don't say anything to the cops or anyone else. Don't talk to anybody. As a result of this, shooter Shakur was hit 4 times from a larger caliber handgun and Knight sustained minor injuries. That alone doesn't sound that alone doesn't make sense. Because you know what you're looking at, yeah? If the if the shooting happened, yeah, and it's side by side basically, that's the original shooting. And then they go off into the next lane, right? And you're telling me there's another shooting between the white Cadillac and obviously Buntree's car. Do you know what I mean? So how is them shooting back and knowing that Suge Knight spun around basically? You're telling, come on, man, you gotta make things make sense. Yeah, so once his car was shot by a bullet, that right? I wasn't gonna pause, but I had to. Now, Greg Kading debunks the rumor that Suge Knight was involved because he literally says, "How can Suge Knight be involved when his enforcer chases the one that is?" And again, that could look like ploy. You never know. Let's play the advocate and be like, yeah, it could be a ploy. You know what I mean? But his car was also shot at, so it can't be a play. Do you know what I mean? It can't be a play. Let's keep it moving. You want me to write on the road and look? I just keep it in now. Steve Green following us to the girls I'm mentioning what's going on. They ain't brought some back on them. Yeah. So we have bullets left. Yeah. I lost the guys rolling. We went to park a car by the carriage house. The parking lot on the opposite side of the carriage house. With the car there. And put a gun on their tire and left. The front tire. We went to smoke weed and drank. Where? At the hotel. At the hotel. And they pulled up an ambulance and well, we're standing right there. I think I'm bullshitting. We're not spoken boulevard at the crosswalk. They pulled up an ambulance right next to us. With the Tupac and Suge in the car. This clock raw. Did they see you? We didn't give a fuck. Ambulance bar right there. Raw. Right next to us. This shit was funny as a motherfucker. That's what Keith D's saying. That's mad. And I ain't ever told nobody this story. That's how you know it was involved. Zip down in New York. They went in Vegas that night. This is Eugene. This is Gene Dill talking. We got to react to his his documentary another day. Yeah, because the documentary I want to react to or anything I want to react to next after this is going to be completely different. In fact, I will react to something in relation to Oprah, who I call Snake Raw. You will find out why. You know what I'm saying? You'll find out why. But if you're a Michael Jackson fan, you know why she's called Snake Raw. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, let's keep it moving. So Eugene Dill's detailed. He's speaking to the police. It's a police interview. They were in Vegas that night. The park got pied. They were around the same crips that rolled with us to Vegas that time, and the park seen them. Now, once again, strictly hearsay. Gene Deal and hearsay. It's either you were there or not. Anyway, let's keep moving. And one of the kids that had ripped off on one of Park's friends a long time ago, the fight broke out. How that incident happened. One of the kids called his uncle, one of the guys in Compton, and stuff like that. Then the next thing you know, Park gets tied up. With Las Vegas, that deal. So police, okay, they said police interview with a confidential informant. Now, but it said now deceased. Hmm, that's interesting. And they're alleged got involvement in the Southside Crips. Anyway, let's hear what they got to say. On that night that Tupac got pied, Orlando, Keith. No, that sound like Reggie Wright Jr. I'm not even lying to you. That genuinely sound like Reggie Wright Jr. I kid you not. I know they want to say now deceased, yeah, but that 100. I know there's some people that sound alike, so I'll give that. I'll use that, but like that sound. It sounds like Reggie Wright Jr. I kid you not. Let's keep it moving. Okay, so this informant claims he had personally seen Orlando Anderson. So it says blank was questioned regarding M or Tupac and Christopher Wallace and other crimes, and that the members of the Southside Crips may be involved in blanked out name dated at that time. Tupac was pied. Orlando Anderson, Keefe D, Tavish, Terry Brown, and possibly Kevin Davis were in Las Vegas that day after Tupac was pied in was shot at in it says the 8th of September, but it was actually the 7th of September, right? Anyway, was hanging out on so the person named was blanked out was hanging on Burn Street near Caldwell Avenue in Compton when he saw Orlando Anderson and DeAndre Smith drive up in blanked out name white Cadillac, blanked out name stated, blanked out name. I let off Tupac, blanked out name. Took this to mean that a blanked out name had Pi Tupac. Blanked out said that the Cadillac that Smith and Anderson were in was a rent a car. He said that Keith Davis and his group, including the names, was previously mentioned. Always, what was it? Always rent cars when they go to Las Vegas. Blanked out name on to say that Smith and Anderson seemed nervous. Smith was driving the car and Anderson was the passenger. Blanked out name heard that if Anderson was arrested for the M or Tupac Anderson's brother, blanked out, was going to tell the police that that Smith, blanked out Tupac, blanked out name said that Anderson always carries a uh, weapon due to the feud, blanked out name or blanked out whatever. But that's mad. Dre and Rondo then came back bragging about. Sorry, I wanted to hear the voice again just to be sure. It definitely sounds like Keith, not Keith Lee, obviously not. What's his name? Reggie Wright Jr. It definitely sounds like him 100%, 100%. He's basically saying Dre said himself let off on Tupac. Yeah, he would shooting the person like it was a big old joke or something. Like it was a big joke. You could tell when a person nervous talking. You could tell he's nervous and done. Yeah, rent a car they had. Had nerves to rent a car. Because they're trying to make us they get rid of cars. They get because down, let you find something in there. It's a rental car. You can't put it on you. All right. Question. Let's assume it's not Reggie Wright Jr. And let's assume it is just a confidential informant from the Southside Crips. Bearing in mind, yeah, the Southside Compton Crips, or whatever the case may be, Compton is a very small area. It's a very small area. Now, that means someone knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone, right? So if someone is a quote unquote informant, they're gonna know. Do you know what I mean? But that aside, let's focus on the what you call them. Yeah, let's focus on what this informant is saying. He's very detailed. So that could mean, okay, yeah, he is part of the Southside Crips, so he knows how things get down. He knows how things happen, right? So if he knows how things happen, and he's saying if you rent a car, it means it's easier for if police search, then they can't really find anything because they can't link it back. That's a lie because I'm sure there's going to be paperwork on the name of who rented the car. Once you get the name of who rented the car, I'm sure they'll be able to track where the car drove to. Do you understand? What address is it connected to? I know in some cases information could be falsified, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Come on now. Anyway, 9 times 10, he ran a car right now. You besides job done, then knows will find that he's hired Tupac. Richard, everybody know around there knows about it. Okay, I see what I'm trying to say. Kelly Cooper not speaking. There you go. Kelly Cooper confirmed that he spoke to someone that's related um to Orlando Anderson, and around the dinner table he would brag about the situation that he hired Tupac. Okay, Keefe D basically scolded his nephew, basically according to Greg Kading, and told him to keep his mouth shut, which is true. If you well, not tr- it's mad, but again, if you've done something and you know someone is that famous, do you know what I mean? And you know the case is unresolved, then I'm trying to think of the word here. All right, so that's the word I'm thinking about. Why would you have such a loose mouth if you don't want to get arrested and want to go to jail? Maybe you want to go to jail. Do you understand? That's the only thing I can make sense of it, which is good. Keep your mouth open. Keep talking. Let's see. But yeah, Orlando Anderson did a CNN interview. We'll react to that another day, though. Okay, so I hate pausing it every single minute, but it's the information that is a lot that we need to uncover. So in this situation, they're saying Orlando Anderson was eventually arrested because of the confidential informant that was within the Southside Crips, and based on that information, they were able to arrest Orlando Anderson because they found a weapon or something like that. So it's like, but they couldn't. Las Vegas Police Department couldn't properly investigate or do anything thoroughly because everything was just circumstantial. It wasn't enough evidence. So what's happening here? That means that the Compton Police Department and the LA, yeah, the and the LVBT, the Las Vegas Police Department, they're not working in conjunction with each other. They're not collaborating on trying to solve a crime. They're not, because if they really want to solve a crime, they would work together. Do you understand? If they really wanted to solve a crime, they would solve it. Yeah, it's plain and simple. Mm. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so now, uh, Howard. Okay, this is mad because someone else has also interviewed, but this is a statement they said, yeah. So I'm gonna read it from top to bottom. So the club parking lot, when all of a sudden he heard about three gunshots emanating from the parking lot area. When Howard reached the area of the parking lot, he observed robbers. So Jake's the one that was, you know what I mean? Um, robbers down on the ground, the victim of an apparent GSW. All five suspected of shooting Jake fled the scene. Suge Knight was subsequently interviewed, however, provided little information to help in the investigation. Note: victim Jake was employed by Suge Knight and Death Row Records as a bodyguard. On October 28th, 1997, Detective Russell Poole and McCartin interviewed Deputy Howard in Atlanta. Deputy Howard subsequently identified two individuals who were part of the group of five suspects on the road on Jake's. However, Howard was absolutely positive that suspect Orlando Anderson and Corey Edwards were the two of the suspects present during Jake's. Now, the right why that's significant, because you got to remember, look when that was. That was before Tupac. Do you get it? That was before Biggie. The timing. Deputy Howard identified Anderson after viewing the infamous Las Vegas MGM video tape that subsequently sent Suge Knight back to prison. In this tape, it depicts Knight, Tupac, and others assaulting the Orlando Anderson, a Compton Southside Crip gang member. After the incident, Tupac was shot multiple times in a vehicle driven by Suge Knight. The primary suspect in this case are members of the Compton Southside Crips, including Orlando Anderson. Anyway, let's keep moving. Excuse me. Okay, Craig Kading saying something that Suge Knight allegedly said. Can't confirm it unless he actually said it. All right, so this is what's so interesting. So you've got Suge Knight. He's basically let using what's Orlando Anderson to say just corroborate my story in it. Like I was helping you. You know what I mean? I wasn't beating you down. I was helping you. I mean, do you know what's mad here? Looking at the video footage here, it doesn't necessarily look like he was actually kicking him or anything like that or hitting him. I don't know how to explain it. I need to see it again properly. Do you understand? I need to see it properly. But aside from that, it's like so you. This is what's so mad. If Suge Knight saw who was in that vehicle, this is why some people also believe Suge Knight is involved here with the Tupac situation because like, wait, Orlando Anderson is a suspect in the case, yet you're using him to save your own self. That doesn't make any sense unless he knows Orlando Anderson was the person that pulled the trigger, unless he knows Orlando Anderson was not in that car, unless he knows that information. Now, one thing he did say in future, further from this documentary, Suge Knight has admitted that he did see Keefe D in the vehicle, but he was not the trigger man. Just keep that in mind. But he doesn't want to reveal who the trigger man is. And that makes me wonder why would he not say anything? Well, he didn't say anything in regards to the situation that happened to Jake. So you can make of it what you will, but it is what it's hard. It's mad because it's like if roles were reversed and Tupac was still alive and Suge Knight was, you know what I mean? It's like, does that mean with Tupac? Tupac would say something to a degree, but you know what I mean? But I think I don't know. So let's not speculate. Let's just do with facts. But anyway, let's keep moving. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's go. Okay, so Suge Knight goes to jail, Keeper D goes to jail. Okay, hang on. Okay, meets up with Eric from Zip. So you get back to LA this next day. Zip calls you, says to meet me at the Hot Wings place, where we're at, on Melrose by Pink's. Melrose in the Blood Plaza. What's the conversation with you and Zip? My park gave him a call. Was that us? He told me, yeah, it was us. Babe called him. Well, we're gonna get our little money. I'm gonna go back out there. So Puff called Zip and said, what's that was us? And Faith said to Zip, was it was us? You talked to Puff too? Yeah. Puff calls on Zip's phone. A zip gives you the phone. Yeah. Click and say, what was that? Yeah, that's us. All right, boom. There you go. There you go. If there is record, and there has to be a phone record, there has to be a phone record. If this is true, there's evidence on sugar. Sorry, not sugar. There's evidence on on Zip. There's evidence on Keefe D, and there's evidence on Diddy. That's the evidence. It's not substantial evidence because yeah, that was us. What does that mean? But it's enough to align with the timeline of events. Do you get it? But let's keep it moving. What's his response? It was happy as hell. Shit. There's no rocks about the money. About your money, I mean. When you're gonna get paid? But no, no, no. Say you don't say it on the phone. But just it, go get our cash. Okay, so you said we get paid. We'll get back with y'all. Okay. Zip hasn't received the money. Since you've been out of prison, have you talked to Zip? No, not one time. What about Puffy? Not one time. I tried to call him several times though. At the studio, he left me to say, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Wait, man." So still at the interview. So I'm just reciting the interview. Zip got that money. What? There you go, Zip the money. Puffy and Zip fall out behind him making the payments to Zip. Zip to keep the money, get the money from us, dog. He didn't give us the time. We got yeah, all that. He was big involved in those the concept about hitting Tupac. No, it was always just Puff and Zip. Yeah, you think any about it or was it like whatever? He was doing his own thing. Like he was doing his own thing. Like now it's kind of going out the window. Yeah. So this is the Puff he's doing. Yeah. I think it would have just gave us half the money. I would have stayed strong like a F it. Damn, that's very telling. Okay, okay. Literally, Greg Kading is literally saying we are trying to use the next step is to use Keefe D as an informant against Zip, the same way we used his own people against him. That's mad. This is mad. Mm, okay, okay. This is interesting. Zip went falling for it. There you go. There you go. They literally just said the task force original thing was to solve the Biggie's case. That's their original task. So when I said in when it comes to the Sean Combs The Reckoning documentary episode 2, and I said I have to react to, do you know what I mean, the first documentary that Craig Caden's in. This was why, because it's two different, not necessarily two different stories. It's not the totality of the story of what's going on. Yeah. Had he said, because even when you think about it, it still implicates Diddy anyway. In both situations, it still implicates Diddy. Um, the point is, yeah, with this whole, for them now saying Biggie is the main thing when it comes to the task force, rare tear tear. Then you have the situation with um them say Zip not having the money, but they're trying to set up Zip. So yeah, where was that? So Zip is being set up again, the entrapment thing, but obviously Zip ain't stupid. He's he's testing him. He's testing Keefy D. So let's just see what goes from here. Let's keep it moving. Mm, they're trying to say they're trying to say the Biggie situation is because Suge Knight has involvement in regards to that. But how? When he was locked up. Can you make that make sense? Just saying. If he was locked up, make it make sense. Exactly. The label started to crumble and body started to, yeah. See, two people have been pied. I didn't know that. Hand over to design death for a logo, allegedly. Hmm. Okay. Raw. I didn't know that. Death for records. Yes. Anyway, that's another story for another day. It's mad. Damn. Should have had a gift for Tupac and Chevy and Paulo. Huh? Sharifa. There you go. Let's be. I know he wanted to use an alias name, Craig Caden, but let's be real. It's Sharifa Knight. You know what I'm saying? It's Sharifa. You know how I know it's Sharifa? Thi- This is why if you understand certain situations, you will understand certain names, and you'll be like, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep it moving. Yeah, that's Sharifa. Because he's been into fraudulent stuff. So basically, they want her to rat out. Not rat out. They clearly, they clear. Alright, so it's clear for me in this particular situation. They're trying to pin the blame. Let me see what. Yeah, they're trying to pin the blame on Suge Knight. But in order for them to pin the blame on Suge Knight, they need evidence. They don't have that much evidence, so they need someone that knows Suge Knight to be able to get him either to speak or to, you know what I mean, or find a way to incriminate himself. Do you get it? That just shows poor investigation, if you ask me. But you know, it is what it is. Mm. If she says, mm, okay, 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 this is really, this is silly. This is silly. How do you come to a conclusion with the, because basically the way they set her up, they had the first meeting, and then they obviously holding up her criminal activity and saying you could go to jail for this, and you've got kids, so you don't want to do that to your kids, and obviously you know how you feel about the father of your child, so obviously you can't, you have to cooperate with us, you have to work with us. Clearly, yeah, I'm not saying this verbatim, but you get the point I'm trying to make. And then they said, then it's a case of okay, we'll work, but so then they meet at Starbucks, and then this is a second meeting, by the way, and they say, "Oh, so do you know why we're really here, right?" And then she goes on to say, "No." Then he go the detective Craig Kading and his team, whatever, say, "Oh, we're homicide detectives." And then she starts sobbing. She starts crying, and then I think Craig Kading and someone else walks over, leave her separately for something like that, and then they say, "Oh, she knows something." What? Because she's crying. That cry could mean one or two things. Yeah, it could potentially mean that she knows something. Two, it could either mean that she's scared. Why would she be scared? I'll tell you why she's scared. Because you want her to do something that goes against her very being, and that is snitching on her baby father. Because that could hurt their child. Because even if he is allegedly guilty, you don't know the fatal consequences that could happen or not happen. And let's say it's another thing where she just sobbing because it's like she's scared, she's nervous, she doesn't know what to do. There's three things that are battling in one person's head, or more than three. You don't know why that person's crying. You can't assume that they're crying because of that. Am I right or am I wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. But let's keep it moving. Okay, the next meeting at the DA headquarters. Excuse me. So Poochie name keeps coming up. All right, we're just gonna keep moving. Too well. Nicholson's that I swear that's where Kendrick Lamar and them man are from, innit? Anyway, let's go. Mm. Hmm. Little Little Rod, what's going on there? Anyway, obviously it's not that Little Rod, but it's just so it's interesting. There's another Little Rod name that is um in line with this particular case. It's mad, but it's a for Biggie working for Biggie. Sorry, working for Puffy. It's working for Suge Knight. Or yeah, allegedly. But basically, there's paperwork of a note where they're trying to say this person was in connection with David Mack, uh, the police or ex-police at this time, um, and he wrote in that letter mentioned about they know Poochie has something to do with Biggie's, and obviously Poochie is associated with Suge Knight. This sounds mad to me. Let's go. But okay, they couldn't get just talk to one another. These, I'm sorry, these letters mean nothing unless you can actually prove it. It means nothing. Okay, so Reggie Wright Jr. is basically saying Poochie. No, wait, that is him. Remember earlier I was saying that voice, the confidential witness, the voice sounds like Reggie Wright Jr. It actually it's him. I swear to you, I'm not even kidding with you. I'm not kidding around. That is him. I've got nothing against Reggie Wright Jr. because I don't know him personally. But that voice that I heard Like, mind you, I'm listening with these headphones. Yeah. So I'm going to hear things a bit more clearer. I know that's him. That is him. That's him. You know when you could tell someone's voice from something? There's a certain cadence the way certain people speak. And not just certain people, the way anyone speaks. There's a cadence to it, to the pronunciations, to the, you know what I mean? The rhythm of how they say a sentence, whether they're speaking loudly or calmly. Like, it's him. It's 100% him. But anyway, let's keep it moving. What was I gonna say? Alright, so yeah, he's basically alleging that Poochie and Suge Knight have a very close relationship to the point where they'll have secret conversations. So, okay, prove it. Okay. Okay, we'll get into this. Hang on. What? Why is he laughing? This is mad. Okay, okay. He's over talking. Greg Kading's over talking, and he's over talking the situation that's making me look sideways because it's like what they did was he's calling it a ruse, and he says it's what the law enforcement do. Yeah, some people want to question whether it's ethical or whatever, but it's what police do. Okay, but it's still wrong. Why are you using? Because basically, they're using a fake confession letter from someone who is deceased. The confession letter looks as though it's um, confession about the situation in regards to Biggie for payback about Tupac. Yeah. So when you put that into perspective, they also mentioned that the woman who's just say her name's Sharifa. Let's keep all the way 100. Um, I'm trying to put this into perspective. So she basically sees it. Yeah, she sees it, and she cries uncontrollably because she's like, "You don't know what Suge would do to me," blah blah blah. But guess what? They put the date 1st of April. Yeah, the 1st of April, and that's why Craig Caden was laughing because it's it's clearly a lie. It's a joke, and they're making it seem like, oh, because this person Poochie, who's now deceased, because he literally ratted you out. Oh, it's safe for you to rat him out. Kind of madness is that? Like, no, seriously, what kind of madness is that? What kind of madness is no? Anyway, we keep moving. They use it. He's justifying it by using a movie scene from or TV scene from LA Confidential. There's no justification for it. I don't care what no one says. No justification. You see? She looks up and says what Poochie said. That's what happened. Now, I want to ask you this and leave your answer to the comment section below. If you're put under pressure like that, how does one react? And you've got a child and you're a woman. How do you react? Because they're essentially pulling on her emotions. That's what they're doing. It's I forgot what the word is. It's emotional manipulation. That's what that is. Just because you trying to say it's this, but it's not anyway. So she has a meeting with Suge Knight where the conversations can't be monitored, overheard. So that means whatever is said can't be used against her or him. So what's the point? And here's the thing, yeah. If Suge Knight was genuinely involved, then the case in regards to Biggie, let's be real, back then, I'm telling you this from now, it would have been resolved. It wouldn't be a mystery. That's just a fact. Because one, he's already in jail. So if he's already in jail, you can already do the necessary steps to be able to um make sure he stays in jail. So they're trying to say Suge Knight brought a Chevy Impala for Poochie as well. Okay, so she's saying that they're saying that Sharifa was there at the Petersons, but in LA at the night where Biggie got, but she didn't see what's his name, Poochie there. This is mad. This is mad. Okay, so money was allegedly exchanged. So they're trying to say there was a contract for a hit on Biggie for $25,000. Yet there was a hit on Tupac and Biggie for $1 million. Whether that's 5,000 a piece, I don't know. Yeah. However, the reality is, you do the maths. The price is definitely going to be higher for that level of revenge. I don't recommend it. I'm not in that lifestyle. Don't claim to be. Never want to be. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, on 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 a natural thing, one of the most things you have to understand about life is a friend of someone like Sugar Knight. Sorry, I'm sorry. This is it's just not adding up to me. Okay, it's just not. But let's keep moving. So 3 years of investigative work apparently, and then the rug gets pulled out Ross. They accomplished whatever the rug got pulled out. So in a sense, the case got pulled. LAPD accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. That was basically get the narrative away from them that they were involved, and it was Suge Knight that was involved for Biggie. That was it. You cannot tell me any different. That's mad. Do you know what's mad? Yeah, is realizing my only real reason for wanting to react to this documentary is just because I wanted to clarification on did I hear correct the first time? Because you know when you watch something the first time or the second time, and you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. You hear some things, and then you watch it a third time, maybe like years later, and you're like, uh-huh, that's what was said. I was right. I did hear correctly. Oh, but there's more. Like just now, I'm realizing there's literally more to this. There's an agenda. Allegedly, there's an agenda. Whatever that agenda is, you can let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Like, leave your comments because this, I'm, t- I'm not sorry about what I'm about to say. I feel like the agenda is Greg Kading was put on this task force to be able to make sure that the LAPD do not get blamed for Biggie's unfortunate situation. Do you get it? And with that in mind, it puts them in a position to be like, because we're not involved, that means the investigation that's just happened, with the lawsuit that's happened with Miss Wallace, the $400 million lawsuit falls apart. They win, Biggie's estate loses. There you go. You see? He literally says it. Huh? He literally says it. The goal was to disprove David Mack and Emir Mohammed, yeah, and to come out under that $400 million lawsuit. He literally says it. So you didn't want to solve the case. You didn't want to solve the case. How are you telling me you're this close to solving the situation in regards to Suge Knight, especially Suge Knight, and also Tupac as well? And now you're telling me now you want to exit. You know, I really are crooked. Hmm. The Vinegar Department of those allegations about being involved in uh, You're trying to say on the other hand, um, if yeah, there's no more to be seen here. He's like, it's disheartening because they they didn't have the fortitude to move forward or whatever the case is. But I'm sorry, yeah, you're like I said, there clearly is a like I said, there's clearly an issue, and that issue is you are basically wrong. Like the issue is they basically had an agenda. You know what I mean? I don't know why my do rest kind of. But anyway, they had an agenda. Clearly. Shout out to everyone watching. Um, get me. But yeah, man, I appreciate you watching. There's gonna be more content coming, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and yeah.